Assalamu alaikum. I'm Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. I wanted to bring my love and joy and support to Islamic Relief during this Ramadan season. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you.
Let us salute Islamic Relief USA for living up to the calling of this holy month, helping local organizations, providing food security, healthcare, and financial assistance to struggling communities and resettled refugees.
Our Muslim American community has been on the front lines in Florida's 9th Congressional District and other areas of the nation to help us recover.
I'm grateful for all the work they are doing in my district and around the world.
Islamic Relief USA is constantly working together for a better world.
Your charitable efforts to help reduce hunger, educate refugees, and assist survivors of domestic abuse embody the noble values that are honored in Ramadan.
Your work to put the Muslim values of community and charity into action has helped not only provide food, but also healthcare, financial assistance, and many more hit hardest by this pandemic.
Islamic Relief USA and the Muslim American community in my district has lived those values to the fullest these last 2 years.
Thank you to Islamic Relief USA for the work you do to lift the voices of Muslims all around the world.
As we continue to fight for a more just and more tolerant world, I am honored to be your partner in Congress.
It's this community care that binds us as a global human family.
We are better for all that you have contributed and the difference that you make.
I wish you and all of my Muslim brothers and sisters a blessed month of peace and spiritual renewal.
May peace and love be brought upon you. Ramadan Mubarak.
There you go. So let me back up here. Sister Zatanna let me know that there was no sound, and she probably let me know right away. So we probably have a lot of people. I'm going to rehash what I said. So here we go. Let me back up. My name is Preacher Boss. I'm the host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in this beautiful month of Ramadan. So Ramadan Mubarak for everybody who's fasting and those who had intentions to fast and those who support people who are fasting. I want to make sure that as much as we are talking about this month, and it is racing through, as I was saying with my father earlier this morning, that the month seems to be racing through. And what I want to make sure here on this particular platform is that we don't overlook the meritocracy of this month. While we are fasting, while we are denying ourselves things are permissible, it's important to reach out to folks, making sure that during this time that they're feeling all right, that their hearts are in good places. And if they're not in good places, that we can be a support for those people who are going through difficult times. You know, this is an active pillar of Islam. So we need to be going out into communities, trying to help people, trying to assist people. I'm going to stand on what I say and try and get out and help as many people as I can. I see people out here going out doing good deeds, and I want to be a part of that crew. And I would emphasize and encourage that all of us do the same thing. The topic today, brothers and sisters, is about traditional marriage. Now, the reason I'm talking about traditional marriage, and I go back to the original core of traditional marriage, you can go to the Bible, you can go to the Torah, but for Ramadan, in Surah Nisa, because we talked about Surah Imran into Surah Nisa, the aspect of moving from the objectification of women to giving women objectives. And I talked about the foundational strength and a communal understanding of what women provided to the overall fabric of Medina back in the day. It was interesting that, as you open up Jews 5, they are really talking about traditional marriage. Now, before we get way too far, let me explain to you, brothers and sisters. I do look at this from an Islamic perspective. I also look at it from a Christian perspective. And I look at it from a tradition-based perspective, meaning that at 50-some years old, I saw situations of working marriages at a very young age where everybody on my block, when I was young, intact family, had a mother and father, children, blah, blah, blah. It was the traditional family. And then around the 70s, for me, the 70s, the mid-70s, late 70s, you had a big spate of divorce. And so the whole idea of traditional marriage becomes a misnomer, as well as traditional family. And I'm going to get to that as well. So before we get too far gone, because I already messed up, Sister Tana's like, you blew that whole thing. I can see it right now. She just smiling in the queue like, hey, boy, you were talking, nobody heard you. She's right. Before we get in that, brothers and sisters, I want to make sure we take a pause for the cause. And I want to give a shout out to a very special sister who's going through surgery tomorrow. I'm asking everybody to please make dua for my sister, Nia Dixon. Nia Dixon is an artist. She's a filmmaker. She was the producer of the Love Supreme Anatomy of Gratitude, my comedy special. She did wonderful work, and right now she's going through some health problems. So she was so nice to text me, brothers. She was so nice to text me and let me know that her surgery is tomorrow. Of course, my dua is in the pipeline. I'm asking all of you to make sure our sister has your duas in the pipeline, because she's been ailing with this a long time and suffering, if you will. Let's just be honest. She's been suffering with this ailment for quite a long time. And I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I know there's going to be some recovery time. And I've openly asked that Allah give her shifa in this particular situation. I ask everybody to encourage her in her rehab as well. All right, let's go ahead and get the show started. And I want to make sure I say we get the show started and you can actually hear me. Hit it, Satana.
We just need help.
Imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Muslim Family Services at your command. The people who help people have to say, we need your donations, don't delay. We all have struggles from time to time, but leaders dedicated is what you find. Before another person sheds a tear, support Olive Branch, you don't have to fear. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see, compassion you could feel. Sing it with me. Ooh. Ooh. All right, back. We are back. Thank you, Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. So listen, before we even get into the subject of the day, can we just go ahead and get our people in the queue? They got people in the queue yelling at me, talking about, oh, we can't hear you. I know you can't hear me because I made a mistake. You're going to have to wait and be patient. So, of course, we got Sister Reed back on solid ground. What's going on, Sister Reed? I hope everything went well for you in Michigan, hanging out with your family up there, acting the fool. I know you were cutting up there, sister. I know you were cutting up and cooking and cutting up. That's it. That should be your that should actually be a name of your cooking show, cooking and cutting up. All right. Shout out to Sister Reed, Brother Derek, and of course Brother Juwan. Next up, we got my main man Altaf Rashid checking in all the way from Toronto, Ontario. What's going on, brother? You know we appreciate you, Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Our Canadian ambassador to the show. How's your Ramadan going? Altaf, how's your Ramadan going? This is day 5. And it just seemed like, to me, it just felt, maybe it's just that Ramadan started on Saturday. It just felt like some days just moved forward. How about you, Satana? Seems like it's kind of moving on me. Maybe we just been doing it for so many years. I don't know, but it just seemed like we started on Saturday and Sunday, and then we're already at Wednesday. You know, I think it's because we're not doing it in the summertime when those days are like 17 hours. So everybody's feeling good. All tough. Let us know how your Ramadan is going. Next up, Brother Eric Carter. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah barakatuh. Ramadan Kareem to you, my brother. How you doing? Inshallah, you're doing well, man. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, the Ramadan 30 for 30. Here with Preacher Ma, Sister Satana. We hope everything is going well with you, my brother. Make sure you let us know how your Ramadan is going. Just press the key. Let us know you're going. Don't be watching the shout out show passing out. Just let us know that you're doing okay. Next up, we representing the Salahuddin crew. My main man Bilal. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak to you. Now, I'm going to say something to you and Sister Sonia, because Sister Sonia says, Salam, baby brother. I appreciate that, Sister Sonia. Listen, y'all better go ahead and get all that rest, because with 8 granddaughters and 1 grandson, you know who's going to tear up the house? The grandson. So make sure y'all get some rest during this Ramadan. Get extra rest. In fact, you might even get a day suspended because y'all got so many grandchildren. And I know they love their grandparents as well. So first of all, I want to say congratulations. I know I said it before, but congratulations. These kids couldn't have better grandparents, man. We appreciate you on the shout out show. Next up, we got my Aunt Maxine, the proprietor of BeFinanciallyIndependent.com going, I can't hear you. Well, that's how family do you, folks. That's how family do you. She could have said, turn it up a little bit. She's been, no. She said, I can't hear you. And that's the way family is. Appreciate you. I'm Maxine. And we also, during Ramadan, we appreciate your support. She's also a supporter of the Sin Preacher Monster Prison campaign. I just appreciate everybody that's donated. We're going to be kicking it up. We're going to have some folks in. Let me tell you some of the things we're working on. Some of our special guests. Our special guest this weekend, you do not want to miss it. This is Brother Zachariah Abdul Rahman out of Philadelphia. He's the CEO of Nicetown CDC. Now, I can give you a whole lot of stuff, but it will basically equate to a spoiler alert. But this is a brother who got it from the mud. When I say got it from the mud, I mean started in the mud and built a foundation that is shining in North Philadelphia, brothers and sisters, out in Germantown. He and his team are amazing. What they're doing out there is amazing. And they epitomize what I was talking about earlier about the meritocracy of a month like Ramadan, that you go out and you serve the people. I got a picture from this weekend from Imam Qasim Khan, 5th Ward, Houston, Texas. And I watched the video, and the video was them fasting, giving out food to people in 5th Ward. I mean, that's what it's all about, brothers and sisters. So shout out. Next up, who we got next up? I shouldn't even mention this lady. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I don't blame people, but I do blame Sister Satana for the earlier faux pas with the sound, because she told me that I need to mute my microphone. I am a professional, brothers and sisters. She had me mute my microphone when I brought myself back into the queue. The mute was off, so it's her fault. Are you buying that, Satana? No? Okay, I just figured I'd give it a shot. No, I screwed up. I just figured I'd throw that out there. All right. So, this whole idea of traditional marriage. And for the African-American community, traditional marriage is not something that we have experienced since we got here to the United States. I'm talking about from the Black, the African diaspora, all of that. When we got here, the aspect of being refrained or framed as and referred to as chattel slavery meant, brothers and sisters, that our existence, our humanness was owned by the masters. Literally, the idea of marriage was slave marriage, where you were allowed to be married under the auspices of not God, but the master, and the auspices of the fact that you were going to basically produce him more labor. That would be your children. You've heard me say this before, but the idea of legal marriage for African-American community does not happen until the late 1880s. This makes it a bit of a misnomer when you talk about traditional marriage. But what about the people who have been, quote unquote, producing and advocating this model of traditional marriage? A traditional marriage, brothers and sisters, is this framework of a man and a woman. When I talk about the Jews, Jews 5 from the Quran later in the show, it emphasizes that this is a blueprint that marriage is to be enjoyed by a man and a woman. Let me say that again. It's to be enjoyed by a man and a woman. The rights between the man and woman in the marriage are sovereign rights. Literally, these are divine talking points in terms of how you grow community. Not only how you grow community, but how you protect your community, how the community protects you. That the marital unit, brothers and sisters, is literally currency. That the scope of living together emphasizes that there is marital cohabitation, but not just basic cohabitation. That there are rules, expectations, and morals attached to a relationship. Now I'm asking the question, traditional marriage, because traditional marriage has come under attack. We do not celebrate traditional marriage anymore. We celebrate contemporary marriage. And contemporary marriage is a situation scenario that is indicative of high divorce rates, because there is the aspect that the community does not sanction marriage the way it used to. I don't want to say that traditional marriage is under attack, but it's not referred to the way it used to be. Now, I understand, brothers and sisters, and I always remember this quote from the Quran in a footnote about marriage. It said that marriage is not made in the heavens, it's made between men and women. Thus, there's always going to be problems. There's going to be difficulties, disagreements, stuff like that. But that's part of a human growth process. It's called marriage. There are folks whose parents will be married till the day they die. Till the day they die. There are folks who will remarry and have different families and things like that. But there'll still be somehow, according to this framework of traditional marriage. I believe in it. Parents believe in it, and it's also, you can see how marriages endure 25 years, 30 years. You see what I'm saying? This has so much to do in terms of what the societal understanding of marriage is. Like I said, in the 70s, things happened. In the 70s, things happened. The new expression of it's not even feminism. I think feminism gets a bad rap on this. But it's a new referencing of gender identity, and thus the roles somehow change. Okay? But do they really change? Or is it somebody manipulating so that the roles fit what they're trying to do? I've always asked that question. Because in marriage, the roles are pretty simple, and they speak to a certain type of equality, egalitarianism between folks. Because a man and a woman are going to work hard and balance and adjust and make compromises for the sake of the overall family unit, particularly when you have children. I'm not saying it's perfect, brothers and sisters. I'm saying it's adaptable. And nowadays, as you begin to look around, questions like in our community, the Muslim community, you have a bevy of extremely qualified sisters who want to get married, who want to engage in this traditional aspect of marriage, but there are no brothers around, or they're not finding enough brothers to fall in. And I say this, and I want to watch what I'm saying. There are good brothers out there, extremely good brothers, and there are good sisters out there, extremely good sisters. But there seems to be some type of overriding negative spirit about marriage, that people see it more so as a business engagement. When I say business engagement, it's aspects that are too transactional. See, the whole aspect of marriage in a God-centric type of deal is that you marry for the pleasure of God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, And in that marriage space, if you will, there's an understanding that you're going to do something, and there's going to be merit to it. So listen, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back. I don't want to lose my space on this. Go ahead and roll that commercial, Satan. I appreciate you. Hey, babies. Welcome to Radio WCUC, Convenient Urgent Care, home of the smart patient. This is DJ What It Do. You know what time it is. It's the top of the hour, and the request lines are open. You know what you want to hear. I know what you want to hear. Operators are waiting.
I just gotta hear don't get the COVID.
Don't get the COVID. Put your mask back on. The Delta COVID, more contagious than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get the vaccine. You know that it can keep you safe, and your people living up in your space. Don't get the COVID. You need to wash your hands. The Delta COVID is more deadly than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get your vaccine. You know that it can keep you from dying. Don't leave your family all alone and crying. Don't get the COVID.
We invite you to join our fight against COVID and against misinformation. It's time to listen to the doctors and trust the science.
When I think of people dying that don't have to die, it makes me sad. Now is the time to be sober. Together we can make this thing over. Let's fight the COVID. Convenient urgent care, home of the smart patient.
And we're back. Got some quick comments. Got something from Altaf. Altaf said Ramadan is going well, alhamdulillah. That Milwaukee iftar time, Brother Johnny Thomas put up yesterday, was looking good. It was looking good, brother. It was looking good. I can't wait to get to Chicago so I can break fast earlier. Okay. Did I just say that? I did say that out loud. Yeah, I need something to eat. Also, want to give a shout out to Mama San, Sister Mary Moss, tuning in. Have a good day, SOS family. We appreciate your greetings, Mom. We're telling everybody to send some love and prayers and du'as to Sister Nia Dixon. You may remember her. She was the sister that was the producer for Love Supreme and Anatomy of Gratitude. You know exactly who I'm talking about. In fact, I'm going to put her picture up maybe tomorrow, inshallah. So we're talking about this thing about traditional marriage. Now, what is interesting, and I guess we can move to our Sister Satana. Can we move to our Jews reflection? Because this kind of bleeds right over into it. It kind of rolls right over into it. The scope of Jews 5, which picks up right in Surah Nisa, is the fact that there's a commandment, if you will, that talks to what the foundational understanding of marriage is. A man and a woman. It has to be respected by a man and a woman. Now, and it has to be engaged by a man and a woman. And we say, what does that mean? But if you're reading later in there, it talks about this obedience to conceptual understanding of how life is supposed to be lived in the correct spectrum. Let me say this. They talk about obedience to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. That is in the Jews, but it's more so obedience to a person who's obedient to God. Literally, you are looking at a reflection that's looking at a reflection. Thus, do we trust that? And as we talked about earlier in Jews 4, the idea that there are three types of people: the believer, the disbeliever, and the hypocrite. What we find a lot of times, the enemy of traditional marriage is the hypocrite. It is the hypocrite. Those who would look at marriage and say, I want it, thus, I want it, however, not thus, I want it, however, I'm not willing to do it that way. That the propagation is that they would lay low to a point where marriages were in trouble, brothers and sisters, with high divorce rates, and people would look at not the people who are married, but the whole institution, and somehow degrade it, but at another time bring it saying, I am worthy of that situation. Brother Dave Chappelle caught a lot of flack earlier about the trans group. What he was saying was, and I wholeheartedly agree, and I said this on the show, is that there are rules. And that these rules are resolute. These rules are not from us. Think about this. If you did not have marriage, what would you have? What is the alternative to marriage? Don't think too hard. There's no alternative to marriage. You're either married or you're not married. And the people who say, I want to be married, but not that way, you can't have it that way. That's the psychology of the hypocrite. If you want a union between a man and a man or a woman and a woman, you can't expect people who are believers to say, I sanction this. I'm not saying you can't love who you want to love. That's your business. But the foundation of marriage is a sacrament. And in that sacrament, we all have to pay attention. We all have to be obedient to what the original idea of the concept is. And if you cannot do that, even people who get married, if you can't do that, then you're in for a world of hurt. Chaos is soon to ensue. So what am I saying? What am I getting at? I'm getting at the fact that if you introduce innovation into things that you had no input in the first place, you're going to have chaos. If you want me to, let's shout out Satan right now. One of my favorite quotes about Satan, he promises you everything and he gives you nothing. He promises you everything and he gives you nothing. And when you don't have anything, you are left to your own devices. I mean, we can call it bid'ah, we can call it innovation, we can call it just straight out lying. That you want something that you can't have. Literally, think of all laws around. If you want to be a driver and you're 16, you have to get a learner's permit. Nobody argues about getting a learner's permit on the way to getting a license. There's certain rules in America. You have to be a certain age to get married. Think about that. Thus, those who would attack traditional marriage are clearly people who do not respect traditional marriage. They're not observant. They're not respectful of the fact that this is a paradigm that has existed long before. A paradigm that's so powerful, even slaves who were freed said, while we're free, this is one part of this institution, this craziness that we're going to hold on to because we believe that it has a divine purpose in our lives. So I'm going to throw that out there because I believe that's the other thing about traditional marriage. If you don't believe that it has a divine purpose in your life, then why are you getting married? I went to college and I remember a whole lot of guys and girls doing cohabitation. We're going to try it out. Well, why are you trying it out? You have no intention to get married, but we're going to try it out. But you have no intention to get married. Even if you had, and records show, a lot of statistics show that the people who do cohabitation, because they're trying out, they wind up not getting married. And so you turn out a lot of people who are disappointed, depressed, disabused, going out into other relationships. So when you read Jews 5 today, understand that it's a blueprint. That what is being spoken has to do with what's going on then, but also has to do with what's going on in the future. The whole aspect of division of property, making sure that women have property, men have property, the whole explanation of why men have more and women, and you can get into that on your own time, but understand, brothers and sisters, that there is a constant theme here about how you build community. And one of the ways you build community is through marriage. That's it. Shout out show. Let me get to my sponsors. I want to give a shout out to, of course, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. You can call them at 202-508-3780. Shout out to Us Hub TV. Also, shout out to Convenient Urgent Care, www.convenienturgent.com. Listen, brothers and sisters, that is our show. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you guys for indulging me. And I apologize. I apologize from the bottom of my heart that Sister Satana made such a tragic mistake in not having my audio correct. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Or as Sister Satana would go, see you tomorrow. Well, family, that's it for our show today. One of the reasons I felt compelled to make this video, because I noticed when an event is over, Muslims don't know when to leave. So if you're sitting there in front of your television going, that was fun, that was enjoyable, what do I do now? This is me telling you to leave. You know why? Because the show is over. I already left. I taped this before I made it. So you have permission to leave. And you also have permission to come back. To the Shout Out Show, we are Monday through Thursday. Again, that's 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Central, and of course on the West Coast, 3 o'clock. So we want to thank you for coming on the show, my brothers and sisters. And guess what? This is yet another exercise for you to leave, because I'm out of here. Later.